Hello, good morning, family. Good morning, black people. Good morning, America. Or I should say good morning, good evening, or good afternoon to whoever is going to see this video and whenever you're going to see it. This message goes out to white folks. I want you to ask you something. I want you to ask yourself this question. Do you really watch the news? And when I say the news, I know most people probably watch Fox News and CNN or whatever. But when you see, time and time again, a black person getting murdered by the street or beat up by the police, what comes to your mind? Really? Because I want you to ask yourself, you're seeing this time and time again, because everyone sees it. Not just black folks, everyone sees it. My question to you is, what comes to your mind? And I hope it's not, oh, he should have been doing whatever he's doing. Or he should have had his permit or whatever, or do whatever so-called crime he's doing. Because I want you to ask you something. Ask yourself if you think that white folks commit crime too. Ask yourself that. Ask yourself, does the crime really fit that punishment that, or does it fit what you see on the screen? Does it fit that you see someone that's being beat up by police or being killed by the police for whatever offense they had? Does it? That's my question to white people. That's my question to all other races of people, actually, but mainly white folks. Because we see this time and time again. There was another video I just watched. I don't know the kid's name. I think his name was Kevin or something like that. But he's 20 years old, and the police stopped him, and for whatever reason, and he didn't have a permit. Well, he had one, but he forgot his papers. Like, people do. They forget their papers. Lo and behold, the cop beats him up. The result, the cop beats him up, punches him in the face. And there are other white cops standing around him doing nothing. And there are black people making a huge fuss about him. And this kid is literally laying in a pool of his own blood from his face. So I'm going to ask you, right, folks, put yourself in that position, see if that's what you would like. And then I want you to understand why it is that black folks have an issue with you. It's not because that you're just white, it's because of what happens to black people by other white people. Because just like how society makes it seem like, oh, one black person did this, so they're all bad, a lot of black folks are going to treat you the exact same way. One white person did this, so they're all bad. I'm not saying they're all bad, because you have bad apples in every bunch, in every group. There are some black folks that are just deserve to be in prison and deserve to be put on death row. And there's a whole lot of white folks, the same thing, same with Hispanics or gays, any Asians, any other race. But I want to ask yourself, put yourself and your people in that position and see how you would feel. And if you can still say, oh, well, he shouldn't do whatever he did, something is wrong with you. Something is really, really wrong with you. Because anyone with a heart would say, you know what? That's not right. It's not right what he did, but two wrongs don't make it right. It don't. The crime has to fit the punishment. So even if, yes, there are some black folks that steal, and there are many white folks that steal. There's actually probably more white folks that steal. And you always see cops going ham, overboard on the black person. But they're nice and gentle for the white person. Nice and gentle. Don't believe me? Okay, I'm going to ask you something. Examples. Dylan Roof. This man walked into a church, shot up 9 people, was armed and dangerous. The police were able to detain him, and they even took him to Burger King for food. Okay? Now, another example, okay? Freddie Gray. Yeah, he was being a little rough with the police, but they were being rough with him. There were a whole bunch of officers there. And Daniel Pantaleo choked him out. They had him on the ground. He said, "I can't breathe." And they choked him out. Do you see how that's fair, white people? Do you see how that's fair? Do you see the difference? And there's a whole litany of cases you can go into where white cops are emptying the gun into a black person. Oh, another case, Jason Van Dyke, the officer who shot Laquan McDonald multiple times, right? Yeah, he got his little 3-year, 6-year prison sentence, whatever, and got off, whatever. Okay. But look how many white cops get off. Oh, Darren Wilson, he got off, but Mohammed Noor couldn't get off for shooting Justine Diamond or Justine Ruzzick, whatever you want to call her. He couldn't get off. But because your whiteness lets you get off. That's the issue that a lot of black folks are having with white people and white cops. And I say this again, a lot of white people are cool, but a lot of white people are racist. And I would say most white folks tend to be arrogant to the black issue. And most of them think this country is so great when this country is nothing but a shitball. Nothing but a shitball. And for those of you who believe the country is great, I want to ask you something. Have you not noticed that every other first world country, so-called, has universal health care? Do you really think that slavery ended? I can tell you it didn't. Slavery was only transferred by that 13th Amendment. Yeah, I don't realize that because maybe, I guess it doesn't affect you to the point where you can see that it doesn't affect you. But I'm going to tell you right now, it does. It might not affect you individually, but it affects you as a race. Because there are plenty of white folks out here that need a job. They can't get none. You know why? Because they're not all in China. They're all in the prison system. They're all in the prison system. And you know who runs the prison system? Your group. Not mine. No one else's. Yours. Just like y'all run every other part of this country. Yours. It was your people who sold the jobs off to China and to other countries. It was no one else. So your own problems and the problems of black people are being caused by your group. And this is the thing I want to say to black people too. When are we going to start fighting back? When? And I'm not saying that, we have to get crazy violent with each and every police officer. Nope. Sometimes you really got to fight back economically. Start fighting back economically. And yes, I do believe in getting, guns and gun vests and defending yourself. You do that too, yes? But then we need to go back to boycotts. We need to stop spending our money in the towns that murder us. And what I would say is those of us who are not afraid to die should learn to get a gun, get it legally, carry it wherever you go, and defend yourself. Instead of killing each other, let's deal with those who are killing us. Let's do that instead. That way we can survive as a people. Because if we start fighting back and wake up to this shit, that's what they're afraid of. They're afraid of us to wake up. Because guess what? Once we fully wake up and get back to that warrior spirit, they're done. And this is another reason why we have to unite globally. Because those in the African nations can help us out a whole lot. Just like we can help them out. Because we all know that the white employment rate is half that of the black employment rate. Unemployment rate, I should say. More white folks have jobs than black folks. Let's be real about that. Do y'all realize what would happen if, and this goes out to my African brothers and sisters on the continent as well, And this is why the African free trade agreement is good, and it's good to build infrastructure, schools, healthcare, all that stuff. This goes out to the African continent, those who live there. If y'all want to build a roads infrastructure, and if y'all don't have the companies to do it in Africa or the know how to do it, fine. What you need to do, reach out to these major construction companies in the U.S. or wherever, and you say to them, you know, we have resources here and we'll pay you to do it. But here's one thing we need you to do. We want you to hire our people here in the continent, and we also want you to hire those of us who are in America. And we want you to send them over here. Or even if not, you know, because I know some African Americans aren't going to go to Africa. You know, they think it's a mud hole. But guess what? There's a whole bunch that will go, and everything starts with a little bit. You know, if you can get some African Americans to go, you know, if you get the companies to hire, say, 80% of your people, the other 20% come from American teacher people, and out of that 20%, you say to them, listen, at least 5% has to be African Americans, and you incorporate the African Americans into your group, and they go with you into your society, whatever. Put them in houses that live next to African American Africans from the continent. Let them be one culture. Let them go see the beauty of Africa. That'll help deprogram the belief that Africa is a shithole and it's just nothing but mud huts. That will help too, because when they come back here, they have good experiences. They're going to say, man, I went to Africa, man, and it was so beautiful over there. That'll help break down so many barriers. That'll help, because guess what? If you guys can come here, the more of you come here and tell us about Africa, tell us how good it is, and the more of us go there, it'll help us out a whole lot on both sides, because it'll help break down the barriers of how we can understand each other and understand where each other comes from culturally and everything else. And that helps us build our own nations. Because we can, Black Americans, we got a lot to do here as well. Because if we can build up here and make changes here, we can help each other. We can help each other, because the African nations, they're all in the UN. They can call the U.S. attacks for what they're doing here. They can voice it and say, you know what, we're not going to send any of you any resources until you stop what you're doing. You stop killing our people behind your borders. That's powerful. There is so much power in that statement, because the USA can't survive without Africa. The world needs Africa. Africa doesn't need no one else. And we have to understand that as Black people, globally. And we got to come together, whether it be in Europe, Africa, the U.S., South America, the Caribbean, wherever we at, because we're everywhere, even in Asia, everywhere. And it takes a little bit of us to just come together, put it together, and spread the word.
Turn at the end of the road.
Just some of us, that's all it takes. Because once we come together, we will be unstoppable. And they know that. If you don't believe that, they know that, look up Memorandum 46, where it talks about they got to keep Africans in the U.S. and Africans on the continent separate, because they're afraid that we'll talk to each other and come together, and that an African Messiah could rise up and electrify his people. And it's going to happen anyway.
Left turn at the end of the
because
road.
we are the Messiah. There are gods in us. Because we all know that whether you call him Yahweh, Yeshua, Jesus, whatever, we know he was black. And just like he was a soul wrapped in flesh, we are souls wrapped in flesh. And we are the Messiahs of our destiny. We choose. And the only way we can rise up is if we work together and stop all this crap. Stop all the tribalism and the hatred for each
Right
other,
turn ahead.
and
Then, in
let's get to
1/10 of a
working
mile,
together.
slight left turn.
And I've noticed that most of the younger generation is willing to work together to get things done. It's really
Slight
the older
left turn
generation
ahead onto Tacken
that
Palmyra Bridge.
have that individual mentality. So we have to start working together, especially we as young people. We have to say, you know what the generation before us did, that's on them. That's what they're going to do. That's their path. But we set our own path, and we decide to work together. Because even when we work together, there are those in the older generations that will support us and decide that is the right path. Because some of them have been fighting the same path, and we just got to grab the mantle and carry it forward. That's what we got to do. And we got to teach that to our young too one day. Because when we have kids, we got to tell them, listen, we brought it this far, you got to carry it further in your own way. You got to carry it further. So we got to move the chess piece back to where it's supposed to be. So all of this, no justice, no peace, it's not working. How about this one? We just boycott. Any township that has a police officer that kills one of us, we don't spend a dime in that town until he's fired and his license is revoked and he's locked up. Don't spend a dime. Well, if you do, spend it with a black-owned business. At least do that. If there are black-owned businesses in that town, you relegate your spending to those only. Because those should not suffer because of what a police officer does. We have to use our power. Our voting is just like money. Our votes are trillions of dollars that we spend in this country. That is our power. That is our power. Our minds. That is our power. Our bodies. That is our power. Our voices. That is our power. So we have to come
In about
together
a quarter
as
of a
one
mile,
family.
keep to the left. Then, please make a legal U-turn
That's my
if
little rant for
possible.
today, black people. And, another thing I wanted to talk about too was I want to go further into the
Keep to the left.
infrastructure
Then,
in
please make a
Africa.
legal U-turn if possible.
Do you know how many jobs that would create for everybody if Africa was to rise up and create infrastructure?
Please make a legal U-turn if possible.
So we
Then,
as Black
in
Americans got to
1/10 of a
push
mile,
for
right
Africa
turn.
to build and develop. There's not really one else to say and add to it. And in return, the Africans have to come and push for African
Keep to the
Americans
right.
here to
Then,
rise up
in
and develop
1/10
as
of a
well.
mile, left turn.
But thank you for listening. That was my little rant.
Left
Y'all
turn
have a nice
ahead.
one.
Then,